LeBron Raymone James Sr., born December 30, 1984, is an American professional basketball player for the Los Angeles Lakers of the National Basketball Association, NBA. Nicknamed King James, he is widely recognized as one of the greatest players in the history of the sport and is often compared to Michael Jordan in debates regarding who is the greatest basketball player of all time. James has competed in 10 NBA Finals, with 8 consecutive appearances from 2011 to 2018, winning 4 NBA championships. He also won the inaugural NBA Cup in 2023 with the Lakers and 2 Olympic gold medals as a member of the U.S. men's national team. Individually, James is the all-time leading scorer in NBA history and ranks 4th in career assists, has won 4 Most Valuable Player (MVP) awards, 4 Finals MVP awards, 3 All-Star Game MVP awards, and was named the inaugural NBA Cup MVP. He has been named an All-Star a record 20 times, selected to the All-NBA team 20 times, including 13 first-team selections, and the All-Defensive team 6 times, and was a runner-up for the NBA Defensive Player of the Year award twice in his career. Noted for his longevity, James is currently the oldest player in the NBA, after his son Bronny was drafted in 2024. James became part of the first active father-son duo in NBA history. James grew up playing basketball for St. Vincent, St. Mary High School in his hometown of Akron, Ohio. He was heavily touted by the national media as a future NBA superstar for his all-around scoring, passing, athleticism and playmaking abilities. A prep to pro, James was selected by the Cleveland Cavaliers with the first overall pick of the 2003 NBA draft. Named the 2004 NBA Rookie of the Year, he soon established himself as one of the league's premier players, leading the Cavaliers to their first NBA Finals appearance in 2007 and winning the NBA MVP award in 2009 and 2010. After failing to win a championship with Cleveland, James left in 2010 as a free agent to join the Miami Heat. This was announced in a nationally televised special titled The Decision and is among the most controversial free agency moves in sports history. James won his first 2 NBA championships while playing for the Heat in 2012 and 2013. In both of these years, he also earned the league's MVP and Finals MVP awards. After his 4th season with the Heat in 2014, James opted out of his contract and re-signed with the Cavaliers. In 2016, he led the Cavaliers to victory over the Golden State Warriors in the finals by coming back from a 3-1 deficit, delivering the team's first championship and ending the Cleveland sports curse. In 2018, James exercised his contract option to leave the Cavaliers and signed with the Lakers, where he won the 2020 NBA championship and his 4th Finals MVP. On February 7, 2023, James surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to become the leading scorer in league history. Off the court, James has earned more wealth and fame from numerous endorsement contracts. He is the first player in NBA history to accumulate $1 billion in earnings as an active player. James has been featured in books, documentaries, including winning 3 Sports Emmy Awards as an executive producer, and television commercials. He was among Time's 100 most influential people in the world in 2005, 2013, 2017, and 2019, the most selections by a professional athlete. James has won 20 ESPY awards, hosted Saturday Night Live, and starred in the sports film Space Jam: A New Legacy, 2021. He has been a part owner of Liverpool FC since 2011 and leads the LeBron James Family Foundation, which has opened an elementary school, housing complex, retail plaza, and medical center in Akron. Early life. James was born on December 30, 1984, in Akron, Ohio, to Gloria Marie James, who was only 16 at the time of his birth. 22 His father, Anthony McClelland, has an extensive criminal record and was not involved in his life. When James was growing up, life was often a struggle for the family, as they moved from apartment to apartment in the seedier neighborhoods of Akron while Gloria struggled to find steady work. Realizing that her son would be better off in a more stable family environment, Gloria allowed him to move in with the family of Frank Walker, a local youth football coach who introduced James to basketball when he was 9 years old. 23. James began playing organized basketball in the 5th grade. He later played Amateur Athletic Union (AU) basketball for the Northeast Ohio Shooting Stars. The team enjoyed success on a local and national level, led by James and his friends Sion Cotton, Drew Joyce III, and Willie McGee. 24 The group dubbed themselves the Fab Four and promised each other that they would attend high school together. 27 In a move that stirred local controversy, they chose to attend St. Vincent, St. Mary High School, a private Catholic school with predominantly white students. High school career. Basketball. As a 6'2" (1.88 m) tall freshman, James averaged 18 points and 6.2 rebounds per game for the St. Vincent, St. Mary varsity basketball team. The Fighting Irish went 27-0 en route to the Division III state title, making them the only boys' high school team in Ohio to finish the season undefeated. As a sophomore, James averaged 25.3 points and 7.4 rebounds, along with 5.5 assists and 3.7 steals per game. For some home games during the season, St. Vincent, St. Mary played at the University of Akron's 5,492-seat Rhodes Arena to satisfy ticket demand from alumni, fans, as well as college and NBA scouts who wanted to see James play. The Fighting Irish finished the season 26-1 and repeated as state champions. For his outstanding play, James was named Ohio Mr. Basketball and selected to the USA Today All-USA First Team, becoming the first sophomore to do either. In 2001, during the summer before his junior year, James was the subject of a feature article in Slam magazine in which writer Ryan Jones lauded the 16-year-old James, who had grown to 6 feet 7 inches, 2.01 meters, as, possibly, the best high school basketball player in America right now. During the season, James also appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated, becoming the first high school basketball underclassman to do so. 104 with averages of 28 points, 8.9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals per game. He was again named Ohio Mr. Basketball and selected to the USA Today All-USA First Team, and became the first junior to be named Male Basketball Gatorade National Player of the Year. St. Vincent, St. Mary finished the year with a 23-4 record, ending their season with a loss in the Division II championship game. 114 Following the loss, James unsuccessfully petitioned for a change to the NBA's draft eligibility rules in an attempt to enter the 2002 NBA draft. During this time, he used marijuana, which he said was to help cope with the stress that resulted from the constant media attention he was receiving. Throughout his senior year, James and the Fighting Irish traveled across the country to play a number of nationally ranked teams, including a game on December 12, 2002, against Oak Hill Academy that was nationally televised on ESPN2, 142 Time Warner Cable. Looking to capitalize on James's popularity, offered St. Vincent, St. Mary's games to Ohio-based subscribers for $7.95 per game on a pay-per-view basis throughout the season, but ended up not being profitable. 143 For the year, James averaged 30.4 points, 9.7 rebounds, 4.9 assists, and 2.9 steals per game, was named Ohio Mr. Basketball and selected to the USA Today All-USA First Team for an unprecedented third consecutive year, 178, and was named Gatorade National Player of the Year for the second consecutive year. He participated in 3 year-end high school basketball all-star games, the EA Sports Roundball Classic, the Jordan Brand Capital Classic, and the McDonald's All-American Game, losing his National Collegiate Athletic Association (NCAA) eligibility and making it official that he would enter the 2003 NBA Draft. Also during his senior year, James was the centerpiece of several controversies. For his 18th birthday, James skirted state amateur bylaws by accepting a Hummer H2 as a gift from his mother, who had secured a loan for the vehicle by utilizing James's future earning power as an NBA player. This prompted an investigation by the Ohio High School Athletic Association, OSA, because its guidelines stated that no amateur may accept any gift valued over $100 as a reward for athletic performance. James was cleared of any wrongdoing because he had accepted the luxury vehicle from a family member and not from an agent or any outside source. Later in the season, James accepted 2 throwback jerseys worth $845 from an Urban clothing store in exchange for posing for pictures, officially violating OSA rules and resulting in his being stripped of his high school sports eligibility. James appealed the ruling, and his penalty was eventually dropped to a 2-game suspension, allowing him to play the remainder of the year. The Irish were also forced to forfeit one of their wins, their only official loss that season. In his first game back after the suspension, James scored a career-high 52 points, 35. St. Vincent, St. Mary went on to win the Division II championship, marking their 3rd division title in 4 years. Football. As an underclassman, James played wide receiver for St. Vincent, St. Mary's football team. 51 He was recruited by some Division I programs, including Notre Dame. At the end of his 2nd year, James was named first-team All-State, and as a junior, he helped lead the Fighting Irish to the state semifinals. James did not play during his senior year because of a wrist injury that he sustained in an AAU basketball game. Some sports analysts, football critics, high school coaches, as well as former Current professional players have speculated that James could have played in the National Football League (NFL). Professional career: Cleveland Cavaliers, 2003 to 2010. 2003 to 2004, Rookie of the Year. James, pictured here in 2007, joined Oscar Robertson and Michael Jordan as the only players to average better than 20 points, 5 rebounds and 5 assists per game as rookies during his 2003-04 season. James was selected by his hometown team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, as the first overall pick of the 2003 NBA draft. In his first regular season game, James scored 25 points in a 106-92 loss to the Sacramento Kings, setting an NBA record for the most points scored by a prep-to-pro player in his debut performance. At the conclusion of the 2003-2004 season, James became the first Cavalier to receive the NBA Rookie of the Year award, with final averages of 20.9 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 5.9 assists per game. He also became the third player in league history to average at least 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game as a rookie. Cleveland ultimately finished the season 35-47, failing to make the playoffs despite an 18-game improvement over the previous year. 2004 to 2008, rise to superstardom. In the 2004-2005 season, James earned his first NBA All-Star Game selection, contributing 13 points, 8.0 rebounds, and 6.0 assists in a winning effort for the Eastern Conference. 48. Around the league, teams took note of his rapid development, and Denver Nuggets coach George Karl told Sports Illustrated, "It's weird talking about a 20-year-old kid being a great player, but he is a great player. He's the exception to almost every rule." On March 20, James scored 56 points against the Toronto Raptors, setting Cleveland's new single-game points record, with final averages of 27.2 points, 7.4 rebounds, 7.2 assists, and 2.2 steals per game. He was named to his first All-NBA team. Despite a 30-20 record to start the year, the Cavaliers again failed to make the playoffs, finishing the season 42-40. James picks up his dribble against Karen Butler of the Washington Wizards in November 2006. At the 2006 All-Star Game, James led the East to victory with 29 points and was named the NBA All-Star Game Most Valuable Player, behind final season averages of 31.4 points, 7.0 rebounds, and 6.6 assists per game. He also finished second in overall NBA Most Valuable Player award voting to Steve Nash under James' leadership. The Cavaliers qualified for the playoffs for the first time since 1998. In his postseason debut, James recorded a triple-double in a winning effort over the Washington Wizards. In Game 3 of the series, he made the first game-winning shot of his career, and made another in Game 5. Cleveland would go on to defeat the Wizards before being ousted by the Detroit Pistons in the second round. James engages in his pre-game ritual of tossing crushed chalk into the air in March 2008. The routine was mostly ended after 2011. In the 2006-2007 season, James's averages declined to 27.3 points, 6.7 rebounds, 6.0 assists, and 1.6 steals per game. Some analysts attributed the fall to a regression in his passing skills and shot selection, which stemmed from a lack of effort and focus. The Cavaliers finished the season with 50 wins for the second consecutive year and entered the playoffs as the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. In Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, James logged 48 points with 9 rebounds and 7 assists, scoring 29 of Cleveland's last 30 points, including the game-winning layup with 2 seconds left, in a 109-107 double overtime victory over the Detroit Pistons. After the game, play-by-play announcer Marv Albert called the performance one of the greatest moments in postseason history, and color commentator Steve Kerr described it as Jordan-esque. In 2012, ESPN ranked the performance the 4th greatest in modern NBA playoff history. The Cavaliers went on to win Game 6 and claim their first-ever Eastern Conference championship, earning them a matchup with the San Antonio Spurs in the finals. During the finals, James struggled, averaging 22 points, 7.0 rebounds, and 6.8 assists per game on just 35.6% shooting, as Cleveland was eliminated in a 4-game sweep. In February of the 2007-2008 season, James was named All-Star Game MVP for the second time behind a 27-point, 8-rebound, and 9-assist performance. On March 21, he moved past Brad Daugherty as the Cavaliers' all-time leading scorer in a game against the Toronto Raptors, doing so in over 100 fewer games than Daugherty. James' 30 points per game were also the highest in the league, marking his first scoring title. Despite his individual accomplishments, Cleveland's record fell from the year Before to 45-37. Seeded fourth in the East entering the playoffs, the Cavaliers defeated the Wizards in the first round for the third consecutive season before being eliminated in 7 games by the eventual champion Boston Celtics in the next round. During the decisive 7th game in Boston, James scored 45 points and Paul Pierce scored 41 in a game the Associated Press described as a shootout. 2008 to 2010 MVP seasons. James, pictured here in November 2009, won consecutive MVP awards in 2009 and 2010. At the end of the 2008 to 2009 season, James finished second in NBA Defensive Player of the Year award voting and made his first NBA All-Defensive team, posting 23 chase-down blocks and a career-high 93 total blocks. James also became only the 4th post-merger player to lead his team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks in a single season. Behind his play and the acquisition of All-Star guard Mo Williams, Cleveland went a franchise record 66-16 and fell just 1 game short of matching the best home record in league history, with final averages of 28.4 points, 7.6 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 1.7 steals, and 1.2 blocks per game. James became the first Cavalier to win the MVP award. Reflecting on James' performance for ESPN, John Hollinger later wrote, "He's having what is arguably the greatest individual season in history, and it's time we gave him his due for it." In the playoffs, Cleveland swept the Detroit Pistons and the Atlanta Hawks to earn a matchup with the Orlando Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals to end Game 1 of the series. James scored 49 points on 66% shooting in a losing effort for the Cavaliers to end Game 2. He hit a game winner to tie the series at 1-1. Cleveland would lose the series in 6 games, and following the loss in Game 6, James immediately left the floor without shaking hands with his opponents, which was an act that many media members viewed as unsportsmanlike. For the series, James averaged 38.5 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 8.0 assists per game, finishing the postseason with a career playoff-high 35.3 points per game. In February of the 2009-10 season, James was forced into a temporary point guard role following a series of injuries to players in the Cavaliers' backcourt. Behind his leadership, Cleveland lost no momentum, finishing the year with the best record in the league for the 2nd consecutive season, due in part to his increased minutes as the Cavaliers' primary ball handler. James increased his statistical production, averaging 29.7 points, 7.3 rebounds, 8.6 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1.0 block per game on 50% shooting en route to another MVP award. To open the playoffs, Cleveland advanced past the Chicago Bulls to earn a matchup with the Boston Celtics in the second round. James was heavily criticized for not playing well in Game 5 of the series, shooting only 20% on 14 shots and scoring 15 points. The team suffered its worst loss in franchise history, and at the conclusion of the game, James walked off the court to a smattering of boos from Cleveland's home crowd. The Cavaliers were officially eliminated from the postseason in Game 6, with James posting 27 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists, and 9 turnovers in the losing effort. Miami Heat, 2010 to 2014. The Decision. Main article: The Decision, TV program. James with the Cavaliers in November 2009. He finished his first stint with the Cavaliers averaging 27.8 points, 7.0 rebounds, 7.0 assists, and 1.7 steals per game. James became an unrestricted free agent at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on July 1, 2010. During this time, he was contacted by several teams, including the Bulls, Los Angeles Clippers, Miami Heat, New York Knicks, New Jersey Nets, and Cavaliers. On July 8, James announced on a live ESPN special titled The Decision that he would sign with the Heat. The telecast was broadcast from the Boys and Girls Club of Greenwich, Connecticut, and raised $2.5 million for the charity. An additional $3.5 million was raised from advertising revenue, which was donated to other charities. The day before the special, fellow free agents Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade also announced that they would sign with Miami. Reports later arose that back in 2006 the trio had discussed among themselves their upcoming 2010 free agencies. James decided to join with Bosh and Wade in part so that he could shoulder less of the offensive load. James thought that his improved teammates would give him a better chance of winning an NBA championship than had he stayed in Cleveland. Heat president Pat Riley played a major role in selling James on the idea of playing with Bosh and Wade. James would be relieved of the burden of scoring, and he thought he could be the first player since Oscar Robertson to average a triple-double in a season. Upon leaving the Cavaliers, James drew intense criticism from sports analysts, executives, fans, and current and former players. The decision itself was also scrutinized and viewed as unnecessary. Many thought that the prolonged wait for James' choice was unprofessional, as not even the teams courting him were aware of his decision until moments before the show. Upon learning that James would not be returning to Cleveland, Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert published an open letter to fans in which he aggressively denounced James' actions. Some angry fans of the team recorded videos of themselves burning his jersey. Former NBA players, including Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, were also critical of James, condemning him for forming a super team with Bosh and Wade in Miami and not trying to win a championship as the man. James drew further criticism in a September interview with CNN when he claimed that race might have been a factor in the fallout from the decision. As a result of his actions during the 2010 free agency period, James quickly gained a reputation as one of America's most disliked athletes, which marked a radical change from prior years. The phrase "taking my talents to South Beach" became a punchline for critics. In retrospect, James has expressed some regret over his handling of the decision. 2010 to 2011, year of media and fan scrutiny. James goes in for a slam dunk as a member of the Heat, as John Wall of the Wizards looks on in March 2011. James officially signed a 6-year, $110 million contract with the Heat on July 10, 2010. Through a sign-and-trade deal which sent 2 second- and 2 first-round draft picks to the Cavaliers and gave the team the option to swap first-round picks with the Heat in 2012. As part of the first player-created NBA super team, he became only the third reigning MVP to change teams and the first since Moses Malone in 1982. That evening, the Heat threw a welcome party for their new Big Three at the American Airlines Arena, an event that took on a rock concert atmosphere. During the gathering, James predicted a dynasty for the Heat and alluded to multiple championships outside of Miami. The spectacle was not well received, furthering the negative public perception of James. Throughout the 2010-11 season, the media and opposing fanbases treated James and the Heat as villains. To begin the year, they struggled to adjust to these new circumstances, going only 9-8 after 17 games. James later admitted that the constant negativity surrounding the team made him play with an angrier demeanor than in years past. On December 2, James faced the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland for the first time since departing as a free agent. He scored 38 points and led Miami to a victory. While being booed every time he touched the ball, the Heat eventually turned their season around and finished as the East's second seed, with James averaging 26.7 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 7.0 assists per game on 51% shooting. In the Eastern Conference semifinals, James and his teammates found themselves matched up with the Boston Celtics for the second consecutive year. In Game 5, he scored Miami's last 10 points to help seal a series-clinching win. After the final buzzer, James famously knelt on the court in an emotional moment, later telling reporters that it was an extremely personal victory for him and the team. The Heat eventually advanced to the finals, where they lost to the Dallas Mavericks in 6 games. James received the brunt of the criticism for the loss, averaging only 3 points in fourth quarters in the series and scored just 8 points in Game 4, a game Miami lost by just 3 points. His final scoring average of 17.8 points per game signified an 8.9-point drop from the regular season, the largest point drop-off in league history. 2011 to 2013, back-to-back championships. The 2011-2012 season was delayed by a lockout, and during that extended summer, James worked with Hakeem Olajuwon in order to improve his post-up game. Humbled by the Heat's loss to the Mavericks, the experience inspired James to leave behind the villain role that he had been embracing, which helped James regain a sense of joy on the court. Behind his expanded skill set, Miami began the year with a franchise-best 18-6 record. James was eventually named MVP for the third time, finishing with averages of 27.1 points, 7.9 rebounds, 6.2 assists, and 1.9 steals per game on 53% shooting. James stands at midcourt during a dead ball on January 16, 2013. On that night, he became the youngest player in NBA history to score 20,000 career points. In the second round of the playoffs, Miami temporarily lost Bosh to an abdominal injury and found themselves trailing the Indiana Pacers 2-1. James responded with a 40-point, 18-rebound, and 9-assist outing in Game 4 to help even the series. To compensate for Bosh's absence, the Heat embraced a small-ball lineup with James at power forward, which they retained even after Bosh's return in the conference finals against the Boston Celtics. Facing elimination in Game 6, James recorded 45 points and 15 rebounds to lead the Heat to victory in what the New York Times called a career-defining performance. Miami won Game 7 to advance to the finals, earning them a matchup with the Oklahoma City Thunder and James' budding rival Kevin Durant late in Game 4 of the series. James hit a three-pointer to give the Heat a lead, helping them win the game despite missing time with leg cramps to tie in Game 5. He registered a triple-double as Miami defeated Oklahoma City for their second-ever championship and James' first championship. James was unanimously voted the Bill Russell NBA Finals Most Valuable Player with averages of 28.6 points, 10.2 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game. His full postseason run, in which James averaged 30.3 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 5.6 assists per game, was later ranked the second best in modern NBA history by ESPN. In February of the 2012-13 season, James averaged 29.7 points and 7.8 assists per game while setting multiple shooting efficiency records. That same month, the Heat also began a 27-game winning streak, which is the third longest in NBA history. Based on these accomplishments, James' performance was described as a month for the ages by Sports Illustrated. Miami eventually finished the year with a franchise and league best 66-16 record, and James was named MVP for the fourth time, falling just one vote shy of becoming the first player in NBA history to win the award unanimously. His final season averages were 26.8 points, 8.0 rebounds, 7.3 assists, and 1.7 steals per game on 56.5% shooting. In Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, James scored a buzzer-beating layup to give Miami a one-point victory against the Pacers. Throughout the series, his supporting cast struggled significantly, and his added scoring load prompted James to compare his responsibilities to those of his Cleveland days. Despite these struggles, the Heat advanced to the finals for a meeting with the San Antonio Spurs, signifying a rematch for James from his first finals 6 years earlier. At the beginning of the series, he was criticized for his lack of aggressiveness and poor shot selection as Miami fell behind 2-3. In Game 6, James recorded his second triple-double of the series, including 16 fourth-quarter points, to lead the Heat to a comeback victory. In Game 7, he tied the finals record for most points scored. In a Game 7 victory, leading Miami over San Antonio with 37 points, James was named Finals MVP for the second straight season, averaging 25.3 points, 10.9 rebounds, 7.0 assists, and 2.3 steals per game for the championship round. 2013-2014, final season in Miami. On March 3 of the 2013-14 season, James scored a career-high and franchise record 61 points in a game against the Charlotte Bobcats. He converted on his first 8 three-point field goal attempts through 3 quarters, setting a new record for the most three-point field goals made in a 60-point game. James also set the record for most points in a single game while wearing a mask. Throughout the year, he was one of the few staples for a Heat roster that used 20 different starting lineups due to injuries, finishing with averages of 27.1 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 6.4 assists per game on 56.7% shooting. In the second round of the playoffs, James tied a career postseason high by scoring 49 points in Game 4 against the Brooklyn Nets. In the next round, Miami defeated the Pacers to earn their fourth consecutive finals berth, becoming one of only 4 teams in NBA history to do so. In Game 1 of the NBA Finals, James missed most of the fourth quarter because of leg cramps, helping the San Antonio Spurs take an early series lead. In Game 2, he led the Heat to a series-tying victory with 35 points on a 64% shooting rate. San Antonio eventually eliminated the Heat in 5 games, ending Miami's quest for a three-peat for the finals. James averaged 28.2 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 2.0 steals per game. Return to Cleveland, 2014-2018. On June 25, 2014, James opted out of his contract with the Heat, and on July 1, he officially became an unrestricted free agent. On July 11, James revealed via a first-person essay in Sports Illustrated that he intended to return to the Cavaliers. In contrast to the decision, his announcement to return to Cleveland was well received. The next day, James officially signed with the team, who had compiled a league-worst 97-215 record in the 4 seasons following his departure. A month after James' signing, the Cavaliers acquired Kevin Love from the Minnesota Timberwolves, forming a new star trio along with Kyrie Irving. 2014-2016, ending Cleveland's championship drought. James takes a shot in November 2014. Later that season, James reached several passing milestones, including becoming the Cavaliers' all-time assists leader. In January of the 2014-2015 season, James missed 2 weeks due to left knee and lower back strains, which at the time represented the longest stretch of missed games in his career. In total, James played a career-low 69 games and his final averages were 25.3 points, 6.0 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game. In the second round of the playoffs, he hit a baseline jumper at the buzzer to give Cleveland a 2-2 series tie with the Chicago Bulls. In the Eastern Conference Finals, the Cavaliers defeated the Atlanta Hawks to advance to the NBA Finals, making James the first player since the 1960s to play in 5 consecutive finals. For most of the finals against the Golden State Warriors, Irving and Love were sidelined due to injury, giving James more offensive responsibilities. Behind his leadership, the Cavaliers opened the series with a 2-1 lead before losing in 6 games. Despite the loss, he received serious consideration for the Finals MVP award, averaging 35.8 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 8.8 assists per game. During the 2015-16 season, James was criticized for his role in several off-court controversies, including the mid-season firing of Cavaliers coach David Blatt. Despite these distractions, Cleveland finished the year with 57 wins and the best record in the East. James' final averages were 25.3 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 6.8 assists per game on 52% shooting. In the playoffs, the Cavaliers advanced comfortably to the NBA Finals, losing only 2 games en route to a rematch with the Golden State Warriors, who were coming off a record-setting 73-win season. To begin the series, Cleveland fell behind 3-1, including 2 blowout losses. James responded by registering back-to-back 41-point games in Games 5 and 6, leading the Cavaliers to 2 consecutive wins to stave off elimination. In Game 7, he posted a triple-double and made a number of key plays, including a chase-down block on Andre Iguodala's go-ahead layup attempt, as Cleveland emerged victorious, winning the city's first professional sports title in 52 years and becoming the first team in NBA history to come back from a 3-1 series deficit in the finals. James became just the 3rd player to record a triple-double in an NBA Finals Game 7, and behind series averages of 29.7 points, 11.3 rebounds, 8.9 assists, 2.3 blocks, and 2.6 steals per game, he also became the first player in league history to lead both teams in all 5 statistical categories for a playoff round, culminating in a unanimous Finals MVP selection. 2016-2018, end of second stint in Cleveland. The 2016-17 season was marred by injuries and unexpected losses for the Cavaliers. James later described it as one of the strangest years of his career. Following a January defeat to the New Orleans Pelicans, James publicly criticized Cleveland's front office for constructing a team that he felt was too top-heavy, for which he received counter-criticism. The Cavaliers finished the season as the East's 2nd seed, with James averaging 26.4 points and career highs in rebounds, 8.6, assists, 8.7. and turnovers, 4.1, per game. In Game 3 of the first round of the playoffs, he registered 41 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists against the Indiana Pacers, leading Cleveland to a comeback victory after trailing by 25 points at halftime, representing the largest halftime deficit overcome in NBA playoff history. In Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics, James scored 35 points and surpassed Michael Jordan as the league's all-time postseason scoring leader. The Cavaliers won the game and the series, advancing to the NBA Finals for the 3rd consecutive time against the Golden State Warriors, who had signed James' rival Kevin Durant during the offseason. Behind averages of 33.6 points, 12.0 rebounds, and 10.0 assists per game, James became the first player to average a triple-double in the finals, but Cleveland was defeated in 5 games. James protects the ball from Kyrie Irving in October 2017. The two were teammates in Cleveland for 3 seasons. Prior to the start of the 2017-18 season, the Cavaliers overhauled their roster by trading Kyrie Irving to the Boston Celtics, who requested a trade in part because he no longer wanted to play with James. After a slow start to the year, Cleveland rebounded by winning 18 of 19 games in December. Their turnaround began with a victory over the Wizards on November 3, where James scored 57 points, which represented the 2nd highest point total of his career and tied a franchise record. In January, the Cavaliers had a losing record, and James was criticized for his lackluster effort. The next month, James won his third All-Star Game MVP award, after posting 29 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, and several key plays to help Team LeBron win over Team Curry. Following another round of trades in February, Cleveland returned to form and James reached a number of historical milestones. On March 30th, he set an NBA record with 867 straight games scoring in double digits. James eventually finished the season with averages of 27.5 points, 8.6 rebounds, 9.2 assists, and 4.2 turnovers per game. In the playoffs, James guided the Cavaliers to another finals rematch with the Golden State Warriors. Along the way, he had some of the most memorable moments of his career, including a game-winning shot against the Pacers and another against the Raptors to tie Game 1 of the NBA Finals. James scored a playoff career-high 51 points. But Cleveland lost 124-114 in overtime. Following the loss, James injured his hand after punching a wall in the locker room, which hindered his effectiveness for the remainder of the series. The Cavaliers lost the series in 4 games, with James averaging 34 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 10.0 assists per game for the finals. Los Angeles Lakers, 2018, present. 2018 to 2019, injury and playoff miss. On June 29, 2018, James opted out of his contract with the Cavaliers and became an unrestricted free agent. 2 days later, his management company, Clutch Sports, announced that he would sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. The deal was officially completed on July 9. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, James's agent Rich Paul explained, in 2010, when he went to Miami, it was about championships. In 2014, when he went back to Cleveland, it was about delivering on a promise. In 2018, it was just about doing what he wants to do. Reaction to the move was more positive than his original departure from the Cavaliers, albeit still mixed, as some onlookers felt that Los Angeles was not his optimal destination. The Lakers expected James to immediately transform them into a championship contender after having missed the playoffs since 2014 and not appearing in the finals since 2010. Following his signing, the team rounded out their roster with a controversial collection of playmakers and veterans. To begin the 2018-19 season, the Lakers struggled to find effective lineups and recorded only 2 wins through their first 7 games to end November. They began a turnaround, which included 2 of James's strongest performances of the season. On November 14, he registered 44 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists in a victory against the Portland Trail Blazers. 4 days later, James scored a season-high 51 points in a victory over the Heat. After blowing out the Golden State Warriors on Christmas Day, Los Angeles improved their record to 20-14, but James suffered a groin injury, the first major injury of his career. James missed a then-career-high 17 consecutive games, and the Lakers fell out of playoff contention without him, marking the first time that James missed the playoffs since 2005. In March, the Lakers announced that James would begin a minutes restriction, and he was later officially ruled out for the rest of the season. James' final averages were 27.4 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 8.3 assists per game. Despite his inconsistent campaign, James was named to the All-NBA third team, marking the first time in 12 years that he did not make the All-NBA first team. 2019 to 2020, 4th NBA championship. James backs down Bradley Beal in December 2018. During the offseason, the Lakers hired Frank Vogel as their new head coach and traded the majority of their young core to the Pelicans for superstar big man Anthony Davis. James immediately embraced the team's much-improved roster by transforming his playing style, moving to full-time point guard, and competing with a more consistent defensive effort. Behind James' leadership, the Lakers opened the 2019-20 season with a 17-2 record, matching the best start in franchise history. On January 25, James passed team legend Kobe Bryant for third on the all-time regular season scoring list, the day before Bryant died in a helicopter crash. On January 31, prior to the Lakers' first game in the wake of the accident, which was against the Portland Trail Blazers, James addressed a sorrowful Staples Center crowd with an emotional, improvised eulogy honoring Bryant, ending his speech with, "So in the words of Kobe Bryant, Mamba out, but in the words of us, not forgotten, live on brother." In early March, before the season was suspended due to the COVID-19 pandemic, James led the Lakers to a victory over the Milwaukee Bucks in a matchup of conference leaders, followed by a streak-breaking victory over the Los Angeles Clippers. Regular season play resumed in July and concluded in August within the confined NBA bubble. where James ended the regular season as the league leader in assists for the first time in his career, averaging 10.2 assists per game. He earned a record 16th All-NBA team selection as part of the first team, extending his record first-team selections to 13. The Lakers entered the playoffs as the top seed in the West and advanced to the NBA Finals convincingly, with only 3 total losses along the way. In Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals against the Denver Nuggets, James helped clinch the conference championship by scoring a game-high 38 points, including 16 in the fourth quarter to end the finals. James and his teammates found themselves matched up with his former team, the Miami Heat, and quickly took control of the series with a 2-0 lead in Game 5, James had his best statistical performance of the finals with 40 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists in a memorable duel with Miami's Jimmy Butler, but Los Angeles was ultimately defeated in a 3-point game. The Lakers eliminated the Heat in Game 6, which earned James, who averaged 29.8 points, 11.8 rebounds, and 8.5 assists per game during the series, his 4th NBA championship and 4th Finals MVP award. At 35 years and 287 days old, James became the second oldest player in league history to win the award, and the only player in NBA history to win the award with 3 different franchises. James and teammate Danny Green also became the 3rd and 4th players in NBA history to win at least one championship with 3 different teams each. 2020 to 2021, back-to-back chase. The 2020-2021 season, reduced to 72 games for each team and starting on December 22, 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, began after the shortest offseason in NBA history with a 116-109 loss to the Los Angeles Clippers. On December 31, James became the first player in NBA history to score 10 points or more in 1,000 consecutive games in a 121-107 victory over the San Antonio Spurs. On February 18, 2021, James became the 3rd player in NBA history with 35,000 career points, joining Hall of Famers Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Karl Malone, aged 36 years and 50 days. He was the youngest player to reach the milestone. On March 20, James sprained his ankle against the Atlanta Hawks, but was able to hit a 3-point shot afterwards to keep his 10-point streak alive before exiting the game. By March, the Lakers were number 2 games behind the Utah Jazz, but they went 14-16 without Davis and 6-10 without James, falling to number 5. James returned on April 30 after missing 20 games, the longest absence of his career. James at the 2022 NBA All-Star Game. In May, James was sidelined again after leaving a game against the Toronto Raptors, but he returned for the final 2 games and finished the season with averages of 25.0 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 7.8 assists on 51.3% shooting in 45 out of 72 games. This was his 17th consecutive season averaging at least 25 points per game, the most in NBA history. In an injury-laden season, the Lakers ended with a 42-30 record, finishing number 7 due to tiebreakers and facing the number 8 seed Warriors in the play-in tournament. The Lakers won 103-100 after James scored the go-ahead 3-point shot in the final minute, posting a triple-double with 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists, along with 2 steals and a block. His 34-foot, 10m shot over Stephen Curry before the shot clock buzzer was his longest basket of the season, as well as his longest go-ahead shot in the closing 3 minutes of a game in his career. In the first round of the playoffs, the Lakers faced the number 2 Phoenix Suns. This marked the first time in James' career that he did not have home court advantage in the opening series. They were up 2-1 before Davis suffered a strained groin in Game 4, in which James finished with a game-high 25 points on 10-for-21 shooting, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. The Lakers lost to the Suns in 6 games, marking the first time James lost in the first round in his career. James finished the series averaging 23.3 points, his 4th lowest scoring output for a series over his career and his lowest mark since averaging 22.8 in the 2014 Eastern Conference Finals. He made his 17th consecutive All-NBA team selection, extending the record for most selections in NBA history, being named for the 3rd time to the All-NBA second team. 2021 to 2022, first in the 10K-10K-10K club. For the 2021-22 season, James was joined by Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook. In a game against the Pistons on November 21, James was ejected in the 3rd quarter after getting into a scuffle with Isaiah Stewart during the 121-116 victory. This was the second time in his career that he was ejected from a game, and James was suspended for one game due to his actions. In his next 16 games, James averaged 30.4 points, 8.9 rebounds, 6.3 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1.4 blocks on 54% shooting, also achieving his 100th triple-double. While becoming the third player in NBA history to surpass 36,000 career points. During this period, James played 35% of his minutes at center, from December 19 to February 26, 2022, playing 23 out of 27 games. He had a streak of 23 consecutive 25-point games. James posterizing former Cleveland teammate Kevin Love in a game against the Cavaliers on March 21, 2022. In December, James became the second player in NBA history, after Michael Jordan, to post 40 points and no turnovers at age 35 or older. In January, James met the minimum criteria for points per game by playing at least 70% of his team's games, averaging 28.6 points, and became the oldest player to average 25-plus points per game, having already been the youngest to do so, as James averaged 27.6 points per game in his sophomore season at 20 years old. He also became the oldest player in NBA history to record at least 25 points in 10 straight games, doing so at 37 years old. By January 20, James became the fifth player in NBA history to record at least 30,000 career points and 10,000 career rebounds. He is the first player to record at least 30,000 career points, 10,000 career rebounds, and 9,000 career assists in the same period. He surpassed Oscar Robertson for 4th all-time free throws made, and Alvin Robertson for 10th all-time in career steals. In February, James surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most points scored in both the regular season and playoffs. By March, he passed Karl Malone for second in the all-time minutes and regular season scoring lists. At the 2022 NBA All-Star Game held in Cleveland, James was celebrated among the other 74 players for the NBA's 75th anniversary team. James led all players in fan votes with his 18th All-Star selection, tying Bryant and just one behind Abdul-Jabbar. His team achieved its 5th consecutive All-Star victory, defeating Team Durant 163-161, with James hitting the game-winning dagger shot in front of his hometown crowd. James in 2022. In March, James recorded 2 50-point games, which were also his Lakers' career high, becoming the oldest player to have multiple 50-point games in a season, as well as the first Lakers player since Bryant in 2008 to have back-to-back 50-point home games. It was James' 15th 50-point game in his 19-year career, including the postseason. He also recorded his 10,000th career assist, becoming the only player in NBA history to record at least 10,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, and 10,000 assists. On March 27, James became just the second player in NBA history to score 37,000 points. Due to an ankle injury in late March, he missed out on a close 3-players run for the NBA scoring title, having only played 56 games, 2 less than the necessary to qualify. Age 37, James would have broken Jordan's record of oldest scoring leader at 34. For The Athletic, Bill Oram wrote that James' ankle injury felt like the moment that might signal the end of the Lakers' season. On April 5, the Lakers were eliminated from both playoff and play-in contention for the first time since 2019, James's first season with the Lakers, after a 121-110 loss to the Phoenix Suns. It marked the 4th time in James' career that he missed the playoffs. James was ruled out the rest of the season due to soreness in his left ankle. He finished the season with a 7.6 box plus-minus, first among players in his age group, and averages of 30.3 points, first by 6.9 points among players in his age range, 8.2 rebounds, 6.2 assists, 2.9 threes, 1.3 steals, and 1.1 blocks per game on 52, 35, 75 shooting ranges. On May 24, James was named to the All-NBA third team for the second time. It was his 18th consecutive All-NBA team selection, extending the record for most selections in NBA history. 2022 to 2023 all-time scoring record. On August 18, 2022, James re-signed with the Lakers on a 2-year, $97.1 million contract. The contract extension made him the highest-paid athlete in NBA history at $528.9 million, surpassing Kevin Durant in all-time earnings. On October 20, James made his 2,144th three-pointer in a game against the Los Angeles Clippers, surpassing Paul Pierce for 10th in total NBA career three-pointers made. On October 28, James posted 28 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals in an 111-102 loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. He recorded his 1,135th career 20-point game, passing Karl Malone for the most such games in NBA history. On December 2nd, in a 133-129 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks, James recorded 28 points and 11 assists. He recorded his 10,142nd assist, surpassing Magic Johnson for 6th place on the NBA all-time career assists list. On December 13th, James scored 33 points in a 122-118 overtime loss to the Celtics, surpassing Wilt Chamberlain for the second most 30-point games in NBA history. James recorded 516 30-point games in 1,386 career appearances. On December 28, he played in his 1,393rd game, breaking a tie with Tim Duncan for 10th most in NBA history. The next game, on his 38th birthday, James had a then-season-high 47 points on 18-for-27 shooting from the field, along with 10 rebounds and 9 assists in a 130-121 come-from-behind victory over the Atlanta Hawks. James in 2023. On January 2, 2023, James recorded 43 points, 11 rebounds and 6 assists in a 121-115 victory over the Charlotte Hornets. He joined Michael Jordan as the only two players with back-to-back 40-point games at 38 years of age or older. On January 9, James received his 66th Player of the Week award, doubling the career total of runner-up Bryant. 4 days later, he became the second player in NBA history to reach 38,000 points. On January 16, James had a season-high 48 points, 8 rebounds and 9 assists in a 140-132 victory over the Houston Rockets. It was his 100th career game with 40 or more points, including the postseason. On January 23, James scored 46 points, including a career-high 9 three-pointers, in a 133-115 loss to the Los Angeles Clippers, becoming the first player in NBA history to score at least 40 points in a game against all NBA franchises. On January 19, James was named as a starter at the 2023 NBA All-Star Game, tying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record for the most All-Star selections, 19. It was also James's 19th consecutive All-Star appearance, surpassing Bryant's previous mark. On January 31, James put up a triple-double with 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists in a 129-123 overtime victory over the New York Knicks, becoming the first player in NBA history to put up a triple-double in his 20th season. He also surpassed Mark Jackson and Steve Nash for 4th on the NBA all-time career assists list. On February 7, 2023, James passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. Abdul-Jabbar had previously set the record on April 5, 1984, 8 months before James was born. After James broke the record, the NBA stopped the game with 10.9 seconds left in the third quarter for an on-court ceremony. During the ceremony, he received the game ball from Abdul-Jabbar. James also gave a speech and then embraced Abdul-Jabbar, as well as his family. James missed the following 3 games due to left ankle soreness. On February 19, Team LeBron lost the 2023 NBA All-Star Game 184-175 to Team Giannis, marking the first time that James lost an All-Star game as a captain. Prior to the game, he had been undefeated, 5-0, as a captain, and since the format was changed in 2018. During the game, James suffered a right-hand contusion and was ruled out for the entire second half. On February 26, James sustained a right foot injury during a game against the Dallas Mavericks. Despite the injury, he was able to finish the game and helped the Lakers pull off the biggest comeback victory of the season at the time after trailing by 27 points late in the first half. He scored 26 points on 10-for-23 shooting, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists in 37 minutes. However, following an examination by team medical staff on March 2, James was diagnosed with a tendon injury in his right foot and would be re-evaluated in 3 weeks. After missing the next 13 games, James made his return on March 26 against the Chicago Bulls. He came off the bench for just the second time in his career, the other being in 2007. On April 2, James put up a triple-double with 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists in a 134-109 victory over the Houston Rockets. He also tied Jason Kidd for 4th place on the all-time career triple-doubles list. 2 days later, James put up 37 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, a block, and a game-winning layup in a 135-133 overtime victory over the Utah Jazz. On April 9, in the final game of the 2022-23 season, James posted 36 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists to lead the Lakers to a 128-117 victory over the Jazz, earning the 7th seed in the Western Conference play-in tournament. James finished the regular season with averages of 28.9 points per game, 8.3 rebounds per game, 6.8 assists per game, becoming the oldest player in NBA history to average at least 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in a season. In Game 4 of the Lakers' first-round series against the Memphis Grizzlies, James had 22 points, a playoff career-high 20 rebounds, and 7 assists in a 117-111 overtime victory, marking his first 20-20 game of his career. He became the first Lakers player with a 20-20 game in the postseason since Shaquille O'Neal in Game 4 of the 2004 NBA Finals, and also the oldest player in league history with at least 20 points and 20 rebounds in a playoff game. In Game 6 of the Western Conference semifinals, James put up 30 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, and a block in a 122-101 victory over the defending champion Golden State Warriors to lead the Lakers to the 2023 Western Conference Finals, their second conference finals appearance in 5 seasons. He also won his 41st playoff series, surpassing Derek Fisher for the most all-time playoff series wins in NBA history. In the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers were swept by the eventual NBA champion Denver Nuggets, despite James' 40-point, 10 rebound, and 9 assist outing in the 113-111 closeout loss in Game 4. He also set his personal playoff record with 31 points in the first half. 2023-2024 NBA Cup MVP and 40K points. James in 2023. Entering the 2023-24 season, James was the oldest player in the league, following the retirements of Udonis Haslem and Andre Iguodala. In the season opener against the defending champion Nuggets, James put up 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists in a 119-107 loss. On November 1st, James put up 35 points in a 130-125 overtime victory over the Los Angeles Clippers. His 35 points were his 81st 30-point game since turning 35, surpassing Karl Malone for the most 30-point games by any player since turning 35 in NBA history. On November 15th, James logged 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists in a 125-110 loss to the Sacramento Kings, becoming the second oldest player to have recorded a triple-double. He also moved up to the 5th and 8th places, passing Jason Kidd and Jason Terry, respectively, in the all-time triple-doubles and three-pointers lists, respectively. 4 days later, James scored a season-high 37 points in a narrow 105-104 win over the Houston Rockets. He also tied Vince Carter for 7th on the all-time three-pointers list with 2,290, and moved past Clyde Drexler for 8th on the all-time steals list at 2,208. On November 21st, in a 131-99 blowout victory over the Utah Jazz, he became the first player in league history to reach 39,000 career points. James also broke a tie with Vince Carter and moved to the 7th place in the league's all-time three-pointers mid-list. 6 days later, in a 138-94 blowout loss to the Philadelphia 76ers, James surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record of 66,300 minutes to become the player with the most minutes played in NBA games during the regular season and playoffs. The Lakers' 44-point loss was also the worst loss of LeBron's career. On December 9th, James and the Lakers won the inaugural NBA in-season tournament with a 123-109 victory over the Pacers, with James receiving the tournament MVP award and being selected to the All-Tournament team. On January 25, 2024, James was named an All-Star starter for the 2024 NBA All-Star Game, marking his 20th NBA All-Star selection, surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most All-Star selections in NBA history. 2 days later, James put up a triple-double with 36 points, a career-high 20 rebounds, and 12 assists, including a pair of game-winning free throws, in a narrow 145-144 double overtime victory over the Golden State Warriors, becoming the first player in Lakers franchise history since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1976 to put up at least 30 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists in a game. On February 28, James spearheaded a 21-point fourth-quarter comeback by the Lakers to beat the Los Angeles Clippers 116-112. Marking the largest fourth-quarter comeback of James' career and the Lakers' biggest comeback since 2003. He outscored the Clippers by himself 19-16 in the final quarter, going 5-for-8 from three-point range and dishing out 4 assists. 3 days later, James became the first player in NBA history to reach 40,000 career points. On March 16, he scored a season-high 40 points on 15 of 23 shooting with 8 rebounds and 9 assists in a 128-121 loss to the Warriors. On March 31, James put up 40 points on a career-high 9 three-pointers made along with 7 rebounds and 5 assists in a 116-104 victory over the Brooklyn Nets. He also surpassed Michael Jordan for the most 30-point games across the regular season and playoffs in NBA history with 672. On April 9 and 12, James put up 33 and 37 points respectively, and in the season finale on April 14 against the Pelicans, James scored 28 points, brought down 11 rebounds, and his 17 assists pushed his career total over the 11K mark. James finished his 21st season in the NBA averaging 25.7 points, 8.3 assists, and 7.3 rebounds a game. He also shot 54% from the field and a career-high 41% from three-point range, making him the first player to average over 25 points and 8 assists while shooting at least 50% overall and 40% from beyond the arc for an entire season. On the road against the Pelicans in the play-in game, James had 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists to win 110-106 and clinch his 17th career playoff appearance, after the Lakers fell into a 3-0 series deficit in the first round against the Denver Nuggets. James scored 14 of his 30 points in the fourth quarter in Game 4 as the Lakers won 100.